Alrighty, we know what time it is. It is time for the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series of 8s, and in this one it is Bastion going up against Zane. And you might see that Zane and Bastion's name appearing. That's a new little, I'd say a production thing, but it's just something we never caught onto when we were recording before, and it's taken this long to notice. But changing the name on the Nintendo Switch profile, we can have, see, Zane's name and Bastion's name instead of having Respawn 255 and, whatever the other Switch's name has been, or whatever other Switch was being used at the time. So it makes it a little bit more neater in some way. Still can't do anything about the profile pictures, unless we just overlaid another image, but so, like, for example, Alexis and Esperoba are playing next. So, Alexis and Esperoba, with Esperoba not having a profile picture, we can put a picture of Esperoba in. The only thing is, adding images, especially high resolution and, like, good quality images, to the video editor in Premiere Pro, if you have that one image, like, even though it's a still image, if you have that throughout the whole video, holy hell, the amount of time it adds to the exporting process is, like, insane. Like, literally insane. I tried to put together a video once of a bunch of random introductions for Super Nintendo games using the Nintendo Switch's inbuilt emulator, if you're a Nintendo Switch subscriber or whatever it is, sort of like PlayStation Plus. And so what I did is I put 8 images around the border of the video, and of like Samus, Kirby, Mario, etc., for like when the new game intros were coming. And those still images, the video, despite only being half an hour long, needed like 3 hours to export. And it was like, it's not the size of the video size doesn't actually increase with the images. It doesn't really increase the video size at all. It's just the rendering process to like keep those images like throughout like the whole video. Just, it's crazy how long the process takes on Premiere Pro. I mean, it does make sense because like it is rendering an image throughout like that whole time. It's another thing that the program has to remember to keep on the screen. So I do get why it's happening. It's just the amount of time to export is like, I can't have videos going 3 hours for export. I would never get anything uploaded on time. Even though we don't really have a dedicated, well, the schedule is usually midnight and 1 a.m. and 12:30 a.m. is when I put up duels, but I mean, it doesn't have to be at that time. There's no rule or anything saying that it has to be at that time. It's just the time that I picked to schedule them to go up. So now Zane and Bastion. Now Bastion's deck is a little bit underwhelming. I don't think Bastion's deck is actually going to perform that well. Zane's is tricky. Even the human players, whether it was Daniel or Cameron or Ross as well, or any of the others, they're having a bit of trouble just getting the hang of Zane's deck. They needed a little bit more time, which is why this GX series was also pushed back a little bit, because I think we were hoping to do it. We were hoping to sort of start it a little bit earlier, but then Early Days was coming out as well. But the problem with Zane's deck that we've created is that there are so many moving parts in this deck. It's hard to keep track of, like, everything that's going on. Zane's got so many nuances in his deck. It would take like probably a week of solid play just to get the hang of this deck in terms of his fusions, getting the most power out of him as well. We have also been thinking the way these GX decks are kind of designed, with what we've got for Bastion's deck probably isn't going to match up really that well. Neither will Alexis's, but Zane and Jaden, like, they're going to be super, super powerful. So we were thinking about using some of the AI decks on this. Not AI versus AI, it'd still be human versus AI, but you can still duel each other using the AI created decks, even though some of them would have to be edited a little bit, because some of them do have banned cards and stuff. We can use that deck as a template, remove the banned cards, add in a couple of allowed cards which have similar effect. So it's just an idea that's floating around as well, but we might do that as another series. AI decks versus AI decks, and have them as... Because we didn't have to go through the deck building process, those decks can be made very quickly, so we can just use one deck slot and just change them like every different duel. So, and with that being said, that would mean that more content. That means we are thinking about uploading on the weekends. Just to, because we upload Monday and Friday. Usually 3 duels a day, which is, it's usually about an hour of content. But we don't usually do anything on the weekends. However, we are thinking of changing that, because weekends, everybody's free as well. It's just a matter of, like, if, you know, there's enough time in everyone's already stretched schedules to do that much. But we are genuinely thinking about doing stuff on weekends. Even if it's, like, recorded either, like, on a Thursday or Friday. SmackDown's on Saturdays, so that wipes out my entire morning. I also teach music on the weekends as well. We'll find a way. We will. As we see, Triple Fusion, Chimera Tech Overdragon. Now that one gains points for every fusion. Is it the 800 one or is it the 1000 one? Let's see, 800 one. Cyber Network. That's a good card. That can get back Cyber Dragons, which Zane has been throwing away. Alright. So I'm going to head over to comments. With the way that Zane's deck works, I will not be able to read comments and follow what Zane is doing. So, but enjoy, watch along, and let's head to it. View. Okay, where were they up to? 23 one day, that is... Here we go. Okay, Sax Pack Abs. As an Australian, is he not a Chazwazza? That's for Chaz and Alexis's duel. That would be a nickname that we would give to Chaz, probably. Chazwazza. Is he not a Chazwazza? Chazwazza. Unless I'm missing part of the pun. I mean, Wazza is... I've heard that term in Australia before. If someone's name is Warren, sometimes they're called Wazza as well. Usually with Australians, if we want to make a nickname, we'll put an O or an A just on the end of the... on the name. Unless it's... Saxpack Ab says, as an Australian, is he not... Is Chaz Australian? In the GX series, is he Australian? I don't remember him having an Australian accent, his voice. In the show. Man, I really need to watch GX. Crimson Maelstrom 573 says... Chaz has a deck filled with too many separate archetypes that don't align with each other that well. And Chaz is the one who threw Bastion's deck into the ocean in an attempt to cheat his way to a victory by default, so he wouldn't have to be demoted to Obelisk from Obelisk Blue to Ra Yellow. Damn, Chaz is the heel in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I actually hell like Chaz though. He is quite fun. But yes, that is an issue that we have ran into with Chaz's deck, and we realised that when it went up against Alexis yesterday, is that unless we're using... If Chaz uses his Ojama deck, he is going to be super powerful. But then we were like, oh, we want to use like some of the other cards that he used. We don't just want to go for his Ojama deck, but putting all of the other cards that he used together has significantly weakened his dueling abilities, so the GX series, in terms of launching it as like a season, like we did with Battle City and Duelist Kingdom, is actually turning out to be quite tricky because not all of these decks have been very easy to put together while maintaining strength, balance, and sort of like competitive nature. And I do believe Zane can attack multiple times with that 2400 fusion. Our player may have missed the effect. I think it can attack the amount of times equal to the amount of fusions, or it can attack your opponent's monsters equal to the amount of fusions or something. But I mean, even if Zane is not playing to full strength, Bastion is getting absolutely hammered. Zane has so much power on the field. And Cyber End Dragon. Cyber End Dragon's a cool card. And Crimson Maelstrom also says, honestly, with Alexa's deck built as it is, every duel could go either way. It literally can. Alexis's deck is going to be so just random. Mind you, it's a fun deck. It's just Bastion activated Wabaku. So Zane will have to wait another turn, but Bastion, I mean, with piercing damage from a 4000 attacker, you're not going to last long. But Bastion is trying. And for those who didn't see earlier, my Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days copy has arrived. It did arrive today. It arrived early in the morning, but I went down and picked it up, got home, watched NXT, and then fell asleep. So I've only played the first 4 players from the very first game that's on it, or the earliest game on Early Days. So apparently there was another Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that came before that when I was Googling earlier. Mr. Hootie Hoo RDK says, go Alexis, win this thing. And Hootie Hoo RDK also says, and his name is John Cena. Oh, my voice broke during Cena. I'll try that again. And his name is John Cena. John Cena, what a guy. Dude, WWE is gonna be so fun to watch. I just can't do the Cena part. And his name is John Cena. It's my accent that's making it bad. The ending to the Women's Championship match was awesome. This is from Mr. Hootie Hoo RDK says as well. Ripley's promo at the end, she's such a good actress. I went on YouTube to look at that because it didn't show on Netflix, or at least Netflix here. I went on YouTube and then watched Rhea's like sort of post-match thing, and yeah, that was actually really good. I also seen the Bianca Belair while she was in the chamber when Naomi was getting basically. Oh, here we go. Zane has won already. Jeez, I think Zane might be a little bit too strong for Bastion. Bastion's deck, okay, again, abrupt cut. That is the switches being swapped on the switch dock. And we have actually found out that we can actually use that method to utilize more of our deck spaces. Which means we can have more decks available to us. Electromagnetic turtle. Have to make a turtle deck sometime. I was saying, yes, Bianca Belair, when Naomi was getting wailed on by Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair was like, she made it convincing in that chamber. Like, yeah, she was like screaming at the top, like, as Naomi was getting beaten into basically next year. So, yeah, I'm curious. Like, what's the whole story? SmackDown should be good, but today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, it comes out on Saturday here in Australia, Saturday morning. It'd still be like Friday night over in the US. I think there's maybe like 12. I think between Australia and Hawaii, I think it's 12 hours difference. Other parts of the US, I think it's 10 hours, 9 hours, 8 hours, depending which time you're exactly in. Moonwolfie says, when she can get the Machine Angel Ritual card and get one of those Ritual Angel cards out, Alexis can be really strong. Cyber Gymnast and those Ritual Angels have some really good effects. They do. They're very cool cards as well. Like, they're cool card art and a bit of a theme going on with them. And also says, I thought Alexis was going to win that second match, but Mask of Restrict basically made her deck stall. 2-0 is a good start. Strong cards via Ritual is something refreshing. When Polymerization or something to bring out fusions is the standard way to get stronger monsters. But Alexis relies on the Rituals instead. When it comes to Ritual, I always like Blackluster Soldier. My favourite Yu-Gi-Oh girls are Mai, Alexis and Ishtar. In terms of favourite Ritual monsters, I really liked Hungry Burger. Just because he was a burger that would eat. And Magician of Black Chaos was cool. I really liked him the first time I seen him. Blackluster Soldier, obviously, is like legendary as well. But there's there goes Kazabols or Cabazols, whichever. What is it? Cabazols. Maybe we can do like a Ritual tournament, have like 8 or so decks sometime in the future. 8 different Ritual decks and have like a series of 8s. Josh Sweeney, aka Shepherd, says favorite Yu-Gi-Oh girl obvious is Taya. Taya, yeah, she is like the Yu-Gi-Oh girl. She is the one who has the most screen time during the original series, like seasons 1 to 5. In the Yu-Gi-Oh series, so pre-GX, Taya easily would get the most screen time out of any female character. Okay, there's Cyber Dragon. Zane has played Monster Reborn, and maybe bringing back another Cyber Dragon. We'll be seeing a lot of power from Zane again in this one. Emperor Pikachu 2013 says, not time to Chaz it up. Unfortunately, Chazzy Boy couldn't get the win. It's always fun when Chaz wins because we all get to scream Chaz it up. Now Zane's taking quite a fair bit of time during moves. Like I said before, Zane's deck, there's just so many moving parts in it and so many like different things that you can do. Like you can make multiple fusions with like the same monsters, and it's just the deck is very tricky. It's going to take a bit of time for our players to get used to it. Glenn Devo says my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh girl is Mai, hands down, but Alexis is a close second. Mai, I always really liked Mai. And Cascade Hairstone also says I like Akiza because of her powers. I don't know what powers Akiza has. I've never seen that series. But I hope by the end of the year I have seen all of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. I've seen original Yu-Gi-Oh and GX. I've only seen GX, like, the later parts of it, like, once. And I don't remember it very well. It was a very, very long time ago. And Emperor Pikachu also says, great win. I feel like she may have about 3 losses throughout the series. I guess we'll soon find out. Saxpack Abs, I admire the golf tournament commentary. It's a hole-in-one. I might try that with... who's Alexis taking on next? She's taking on Esperoba. Yeah, Esperoba's boring enough that I could do golf commentary for that. Sir Songi, that's a new name. I haven't seen that name before. Thank you for commenting. I like this video, mate. Let's talk about Cena. I can't believe the betrayal. It's like, it's broken the internet. It's actually crazy how much it has broken the internet. John Cena's heel turn has become like a national disaster for some people. For some people, it's like, it's a national gift or something, because like a lot of us who saw Cena very early in his career when he was a heel back in like 2003, parts of 2004, Cena as like that early heel, he was really good as a heel. And then he sort of became the babyface against JBL. And he was going to go, like, we were all waiting for a heel turn for Cena again. But when he became the sort of like hustle, loyalty, respect, and became that role model for like the kids and all the stuff he did with Make-A-Wish, it just wasn't possible to turn him heel. It just didn't work for WWE. And it was like understandable, but we never got to see him be that real good bad guy that he could be until now. So, but now it's like Cena's turned heel, and it's like, but Cena can't be heel. He's a superhero. It's like, it's the same with Hogan in '96. Like when Hogan went heel, everyone was like, Hogan can't be a bad guy. He's like, he's Mr. USA. He's like, he's the hero that beats all the bad guys and like protects civilization. Like, Hulk Hogan can't lose. He beat the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Like, this is like our guy, our red and white, our red, white and blue American hero. He can't turn heel. And then he formed the NWO and basically killed WWF, or WWF at the time, killed their ratings for 83 weeks straight. I thought it was 88. I don't know if that's a Mandela effect, but I swear that it was 88 weeks in a row. I've heard it's been said 88 weeks in a row. I've seen it written 88 weeks in a row. I'm sure SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, there's a backstage scene with Eric Bischoff. I know it was 88 weeks. It wasn't 83, it was 88. And I swear that I've seen it being 88 weeks. Mandela effect. They're changing history and seeing what they can change on us. But I know it wasn't 83 weeks. I know it was 88. Anyway, Sukowski 1978 says, sincerely hoping you get your copy of Early Days today, which I did. I did get it today. Sorry you're having to wait. I never realised how remote Perth was from. Even the rest of Australia. Watched a few YouTube videos about Perth, and it seems like the edge of the world. Well, it's not far away. The eastern states and New Zealand, like, I'm looking at a world map that I've got on my wall right now, and like most of the like the 2D landscape world maps that you'll find, you will see Australia sort of like in the bottom right hand corner, and a little bit more further down to the bottom right of that would be New Zealand. But like Perth is on the left hand side of Australia, so, but the thing is with the eastern states, it's a lot more developed. There's more cities, everything's closer together, there's more people living over there as well. I think Australia's population is about 25 million, and Western Australia, the state that Perth is in, is the biggest state. So you would think that like of that 25 million, Perth would have the highest population. However, the population of Perth is only about 2 million people, which for a major city is very, very small. Now, over in the eastern states, I think the eastern states make up like, it's almost like, it's something like 80% of Australia's population is on the eastern states. Even though they're smaller states, they're still big states. But like, so like, the state of Western Australia, where Perth is in, you can fit like half of Europe in it, or like 60-70% of Europe could fit in Western Australia, like going by land size. WA is a massive state, but there's nothing in it. Like, it's kind of like Scarlet and Violet's world map. It's big, but there's nothing in it. I love Scarlet and Violet's world map though. I love the wilderness. I love the exploration sort of thing. WA is kind of like Red Dead Redemption, or RDR2 in a way. There's like, if you go rural Western Australia, there is not another town for like miles. To put it in this perspective, to drive from Perth to the nearest capital city, the nearest capital city would be Adelaide. And it will take you, if you drove consecutively without stopping, it would take you over a full day to reach it. It'd take you like a day and 4 hours or something to reach Adelaide. So the state that's next to us, there's South Australia, and then there's Northern Territory. Capital of Northern Territory is Darwin. And, well, Darwin's like right at the top of the Northern Territory. That takes like a day and 17 hours to drive to from Perth. Mainly because you need to take like inland detours and stuff. It's when you get to a certain part in Western Australia, if you go like far or further to the north, the roads are more prone to getting hit by floods and stuff, so they get damaged easier. They're a lot less taken care of because there's not a lot of like infrastructure and stuff out there. It takes longer to get to as well. But no, it's amazing how underdeveloped, in a way, Australia actually is. Given its size, a lot of it's sort of in the, you'd call it the uninhabitable zone. And I am watching this duel, and Zane's made some odd moves, and I would say that they are mistakes, but I would say that they're not intentional. It's our player trying to get used to the deck. However, even though Zane's deck is not being played to absolute full potential, it's still pretty comfortably beating Bastion, which really says a lot about the quality of Bastion's deck and just how ridiculously powerful Zane's is. It may have been a misclick as well. They may have selected when they were meant to tribute or something. It's just like I've said with Zane, there's so many options and so many cogs turning all at once. It's hard to specify one particular part you want to do. So in terms of, I think Perth is actually one of the closest capital cities to Antarctica as well. Obviously Argentina and Chile are the closest in terms of country to Antarctica, and then South Africa's somewhat close, I think. Oh well, then you've got Tasmania as well. Tasmania is closer to Antarctica than what Perth is, and so is New Zealand. So Tasmania is a state in Australia, but it's broken off from the mainland. It's a little bit south of Victoria. Never been there myself, Tasmania. The only other Australia state that I've been to the Gold Coast, but I was only like 2 years old, so I barely remember it. And I have technically been to Sydney. I went through Sydney Airport when I was coming home from Japan back in 2023. Mainly because I missed my plane home. I was supposed to go back through Singapore. So I've been to Japan and travelled around Japan. I've been to Singapore Airport as well. So technically I have been to Singapore, but I didn't leave the airport. So how did I miss my plane home from Japan? My flight was departing at 11:55 p.m. So it would have had the date of like the 22nd of May or whenever it was. And it clocked over into arrival, or because I was changing planes in Singapore, it had the 23rd, because obviously it would clock over into the AM hours, which is what it was supposed to. But when I saw the 23rd of March, my brain just registered my flight as being like a day later than what it was, and that's why I ended up missing the flight. I ended up getting back to the hotel at like maybe like 9 or 10 p.m. that day when I was supposed to be like packing up, because I went to Universal Studios, had a hell of a day. It was well worth it missing the plane. But what happened when I got back, my hotel card wouldn't work in the elevator, and when I checked at the desk, they said I was supposed to check out this morning at 10, and I was like, huh? What do you mean? Like, and when I was looking at everything on my ticket, I was like, oh no, like, okay, I might be in a bit of difficulty here. But the hotel staff were actually really helpful. They got me the room again. It was like another $100, which wasn't much, to be honest. Japan's actually really cheap to go to if you're going there with like Australian money or even US or euros. It's amazing how cheap everything is. Like, our money goes a long way in Japan. But if you work in Japan and you're earning yen as an income, it's not much. So the cost of living in Japan is quite high if you're working there and you're getting yen. However, if you're if you have money from Australia or Europe or America, it goes a long way. You can buy a full course meal for like $10. Over here, it cost you at least $30. Be at least 3 times as much. Like a can of Coke over here, from like any regular shop or deli or whatever, $2.50, $3 if they're stingy, $4 can of Coke. I bought a can of Coke in Japan for $1, and the size of the can, as we see, Zane has won 2-0. Not even at full power, making mistakes, but Zane still did it easy. I bought a can of Coke, which was the usual can of Coke over here, I think is 375ml. I've got one in front of me. 375ml. In Japan, there was one which was like 600ml. The can was massive and it was $1. And I was like, damn, this is the place to be. Well, Zane won 2-0 and still getting used to his deck, but players will get there. Bastion has just been slapped in that one. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We do have Alexis and Esperoba coming up. And thanks for leaving all the comments as well, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. Take care. Farewell.